I'll change the light for you if you'd like.
No, it's good. I think I got it from here. But yeah, how have you been? It's been I I think the last time we talked at all was like on Jason's podcast, I
That
think.
is correct. That is
Yeah.
very correct.
I don't think we've ever had the chance to like, talk one on one about just shooting the shit and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm a weird individual who could talk for hours. I was made for this. Hopefully, you could keep up with
Oh
me.
yeah, no. If you're that kind of person, then yeah. If you love talking about shit for about like if you love talking about stuff, this is like Twitch is the best.
The best. How are you doing? I would love to introduce you to my audience. You're a rising star, one of the early recruits to the Paradigm class of 2022.
Honored. I'm doing okay. I got off work a little while ago, so I was like, nah, I'm just like chilling, just relaxing. Now I'm doing some research for my stream, like what news I'm gonna cover. Yesterday we celebrated. So yesterday was, or like today, right now for us, it's Indian Independence Day. Over in India, it's already passed. So in India, it's like August 16th. Independence Day for India is August 15th. So we celebrated it last night
Hmm.
um, by basically not shitting on India, by not talking about how like horrible the political system is there right now and how unjust the political system there is right now. So we took a break from that and we just enjoyed ourselves a little bit because I figured the Indian audience needed it a little bit because every other day I'm gonna talk massive smack about it.
And on leading that question, so you are, as I've been hearing, the kind of foremost only voice on certain countries and their politics. Would you like to explain to us what you cover and how deeply you're involved in it?
Sure. So first of all, hi chat. If you don't know me already, I hang around here a lot of the time. My name is ArunAnnow on Twitch. So it's ArunAnnow. That is my name on Twitch. I know actually means older brother in the Tamil language, which is why like people started calling me. Anno is like a corruption of the word Anna, and then like they started calling me. A lot of people started calling me that because I'm getting a little older. So I figured, you know what? And it's like if you know anything about Hasanabi's like name, it's also the same way he
Yeah.
got
Okay.
his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
It's the same way he got his name, but I swear to God, it's a pure coincidence.
No.
Um,
My name is
but
literally the name of a wrestler's finishing move, and he named it this at the same time, like the same day, because they had just done an AEW pay per view, and at the same
yeah,
day, I was like the paradigm shift, and then now every time that this wrestler's on, he says he's going for the paradigm shift, and I'm like, that's the thing.
no, like it's actually like it's absolute. I actually tried not to do this whole utter no no thing. I had a different name before this. I'm not like I'm keeping that secret for like all the old heads, but like I used to have a different name before calling myself ArunAnnow because a lot of I'm in a Discord server filled with like a lot of Tamil people, Tamil speaking people, and they started calling me like that as like this is just something we say to each other. So they're like, all right, I'll just keep it because they couldn't pronounce my other name. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll just change it to this and make it easier to pronounce. So
That's
I actually legitimately tried to avoid like my name being a ripoff of Hasanabi, but it didn't work.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, especially on this platform. A lot of people rip shit from other people and then they try to claim it as their own. Like, my whole stick is trying to be like the Black John Oliver. I literally modeled half my scenes after the show. Like,
True.
whatever. Yeah, I always think to myself that hearing a name like XQC, I wouldn't know like how important that type of like I wouldn't have started my career thinking three letters will work. Everybody will remember it. But it works. Whatever you find that people remember, I think it's more about you as the person than it'll ever be about the name. And I think that's what a lot of people end up growing like into knowing as they get bigger and bigger and more people start, noticing you as that name. It just always fits. Names always
Yeah.
fit people. Like
100%. I totally agree. I think I'm starting to grow into this name.
And,
I 100% agree.
and what do you cover under this name? What type of things do you do?
So, my usual coverage is South Asian politics. So, I usually talk about Indian politics. I talk about basically what goes on in India a lot. But because of the events of what's been going on in Sri Lanka over the past several months, I've also been talking about Sri Lanka, and I will, like, every now and then I will venture out to basically talk about other countries in the surrounding in South Asia. So I will talk about like Pakistani politics, Bangladeshi politics. I recently talked to, I believe I talked to Famous Horse and Beer Bash Johnson about um, I don't think did I talk to Endless Cemetery? I did not talk to him about this, but I talked about basically like the indigenous rights in Bangladesh as well, and how basically there's definitely a need. Like there are people fighting for land back in Bangladesh, and basically we need to provide them with our support as much as possible. Those are the sorts of topics that I cover. Um, Usually, when I'm not, doing hardcore politics, I usually react to memes and stuff. So I usually react to like, sometimes I'll react to like shows and stuff. I was just reacting to Taskmaster yesterday, like BBC shows. Occasionally, I'll find the non-problematic episodes of like the Jerry Springer show because sometimes we love. I mean, the only kind of violence I want to see is like the kind of violence you see on the Jerry Springer show.
Thanks. Grew up heavy on that. Them
Yeah.
days staying home from school, and that was on at 11 o'clock. I was like, what is daytime television? Like, did they just throw things on there and like expect people to just, that's background. Like, I remember watching television. Like, I think it got really good around 1:30, 2 o'clock. That's when the shit, like 1 o'clock is when them like normal shows started coming on. I was a big fan of television back in the day before I stopped watching it. And I just can always remember, like, there was a different, I didn't know what programming was when I was a kid, because why would you? But like, I just knew that there were certain blocks that just like felt like, you're going into the evening now, the day is ending, you come home at 2:30 from school and Mega Man Battle Network is on, and it's like, I'm a huge person about reclaiming the feelings that we lost as children, because I feel like we're the last generation to really have an attachment to something that isn't a live platform, isn't being created in front of their eyes. Like, most people are sitting there watching the newest YouTube and their newest episode, and it's like, oh my god, how do they know what it's like for that weekly anticipation? What do they know about that 30-minute show with like 8 minutes of commercials, and like you gotta wait till the next week to watch it? There's just something about how that builds a child's, at least in my opinion, because I'm a teacher, so like I noticed this. I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. How does that build a child's like tension, like the ability to be absorbed in attention, suspension of disbelief? Like, obviously this story's fake. Obviously I can tell the difference between a real, and it's like, damn, we really cut their imagination out. Now we got AI art. They don't even got to like think about images in their head and then try to draw it out. I got AI, I could do it. And it's like, I just want them to know that the human brain is still the most beautiful thing that can dream up things you've never even imagined. If you can harness that and try to put something decent, or at least with love and passion, out into this world, we fucked. Like,
Oh yeah.
we can't do that.
No, there is definitely some sort of magic to the episodic nature of like the old shows that we used to watch. Because I remember watching, I remember like, I remember like I grew up with Pokemon, right? I remember growing up with like, I think my favorite series was, my two favorite like seasons were the original season, and then like the seasons where everyone was like in Hoenn, right? Because those are my first like those are the games I first owned. So my first Pokemon game was Emerald, right? And there was like some magic about that episode, like just being able, like having to wait for that next episode and just seeing it and seeing what people come up with. That was fantastic. It was just great being able to do that.
Man, Hoenn League is when my favorite Pokemon came out.
Yeah,
Blaziken. I
exactly. So
love.
you get it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You get it.
Ah man, I remember. Yo, I left it at my friend's house. I gotta go back and get it. I wanted to finish. I still haven't finished a Pokemon game ever, like ever in my life. And I finally got through like most of White. I made it up to the Elite Four by myself, and I just did not have the patience to train the Pokemon. So I've never beaten the Elite Four in my life. And I bring this all around to say it's like what scares me is that I know I could emulate this and probably do this all over with my chat, but have a whole adventure. You know, Paradigm finally completes a goal he was trying to do as a kid. And then it's like, it ain't gonna have the same reward. It's not gonna have that meet up at the lunch table tomorrow and tell them, yo, I finally did it vibe. It's gonna have that, I gotta explain that shit to strangers vibe. Like,
Oh yeah, it's like, I mean, there's still even today there's still like this vibe of like, oh, you're playing video games as an adult. What the fuck are you doing with your life?
yeah.
Even though like Twitch exists, right, and YouTube exists, and like Ninja exists, and
Yo, that's
Markiplier,
crazy.
right?
You just spoiled something. That's the next video we was gonna watch. Somebody took Ninja's master class and it was horrible. I'm like, why do you have a master class? You're not a master at this. Like, oh my
On
god.
what does he teach him?
I think on like how to become a popular or famous streamer, but it's
Oh
really
god.
just from what I've watched so far, because I really do sit there and wait till I get on stream to watch things. What I've seen so far is like it's all about self-flagellation. Like it's all about like my hair is blue and it's crazy. Like you gotta have blue hair, you know? Got you, Globus. But yeah, that's what that's gonna be about. So you cover,
Yeah,
I want
cover
to say
South
South Asian politics. Yeah, no, I was gonna go into a different question because I know it feels like I'm interviewing you and I'm not. I'm just trying to get it. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling because I know how it is when somebody new come in and you just throw them like an ethereal conversation and they're just like, well, this guy said South Asian politics. Are you guys not gonna talk about that at all? Like, yeah, I got y'all. Don't worry. Um,
Yeah, no, I mean that's sort of my bread and butter. So what I usually try and do is, so originally what I was trying to do was, I came on Twitch and I came on sort of online because I saw like a lot of young people, or I saw like a lot of people being basically radicalized. Because like the thing is, India is kind of in a very similar situation to sort of America with the amount of like uh sort of alt-right presence. I mean, the Indian version of alt-right, what we call Sanghi presence, right?
okay.
And basically, there's a couple of like people out there like talking, coming at it like that are basically like that are trying to combat that, right? But they're largely, and they're doing the good fight on like YouTube, right? So you have people like Deshbakt, who I don't agree with him on everything, obviously, but he's fighting the good fight on there. And there are people that are trying to fight the sort of like, or that are trying to win hearts and minds of India's youth. And India is a very young country. There are lots of young people in the country. And the thing is, like, there's a lot of, and especially here in the United States, another thing is that a lot of Americans that are of Indian origin, or that profess Hinduism as their faith, they're susceptible to a lot of like Hindu nationalist propaganda, because basically outlets like the Hindu American Foundation and the there are like lots of organizations that basically act on behalf of like militant organizations in India. And so I figured, you know what, I want to come on to this platform and I want to do agitative propaganda against those toxic ideas. And I want, I was talking about this yesterday, right? The kind of India that I want to see, and then by the way, I don't claim to be Indian by any stretch of the measure, right? I'm like I was born in India and my family's all there in India, but for the most part, all my like I grew up here, right? I grew up here in the United States, right? So for most intents and purposes, I'm American, right? But my family is back in India. So a lot of what happens in India affects my family as well. It affects a lot of friends that I have in India as well. So it's sort of like um it's sort of like I want to be able to win hearts and minds away from that toxic ideology, and I want people to have a more productive way of of conducting themselves in talking to people, because unfortunately there's a lot of propaganda, and I just want to be able to hopefully win some hearts and minds away from that.
Do
And
you
I just
feel
want to meet people where they're at.
do you feel
And
like you've achieved that so far on your platform
I'm
or on
going to
this
be honest,
platform?
if I'm going to be perfectly honest, no, I haven't. Not even close. Because the, the thing is, if I'm going to keep it a buck with you, right? Vast majority of my audience is American, right? And so it's a and it's not a bad thing, right? It's not to say like, oh, having Americans in my audience is a bad thing. But in like the more people that watch this stuff, the merrier, right? But it's just that like I think uh I think there's still a long way to go before I can even begin to consider like me accomplishing that goal, right? That's one of the goals I have uh of coming on platforms like Twitch or platforms like YouTube. I've thought about going to YouTube as well, because the a lot of people that a lot of people that consume content in India are consuming it on YouTube, which is actually a relatively new phenomenon in India actually. So um so the sort of thing is uh the sort of the thing that my personal thing is like I have a long way to go before I can even consider accomplishing that goal. But in the meanwhile, right, while I'm like on that path, right, I might as well like, you know, talk about Indian politics and provide sort of a context to people that may not have a clear understanding of, because like the thing is like when Indian politics gets talked about, I think most people, or like when South Asian politics gets talked about, there's a lot of context that's missing, right? So I think the most that you'll hear when people talk about India is that Modi bad, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's about
And
it.
that's about it. Like that's probably the most that you'll hear. You'll probably hear like Modi bad. Um and Yeah, and but like there's so much more to Indian politics that I think needs to be elaborated on. There's so much more to the dynamics of what actually happens in India that really needs to be elaborated on, in order to get a fuller understanding of like the sorts of dynamics that happen in these sorts of countries, right? And why I think it's important. That's sort of like I think my goal right now is to provide that sort of context. My long term goal is obviously to reach Indians and South Asians where they're at,
Hmm.
in general, and hopefully win hearts and minds there. But in the interim, like my goal is to basically elaborate like context to a lot of people that may not understand like what's been going on in these countries for a long time. And my goal is to basically say, hey, um, this is sort of uh, this is sort of the context that you're missing, right? Or like this is like there's so much more to what's going on in India, right? There's so much like there's like a lot of what the BJP is doing is way worse than you think it is, right? A lot of what the RSS and a lot of these paramilitary organizations, what they're doing in India, it's a lot worse than what you think it is. Sangis are a lot worse than you think they are, right? Because it's not just Muslims that they're harming as well. They're harming people of lower caste, of marginalized caste backgrounds. They're harming people. They're harming women. Obviously, women are a massive target in India. There's so many forms of hierarchy in India that are weaponized against you, right? Whether it be your caste background. Nightwolf is my mod, by the way, so that's why he's talking.
Yeah,
Um,
also okay with that.
Yeah, sorry.
You're good.
I just noticed he said that. So he's also doing, yeah, and another there's also this sort of like language superiority thing, as Nightwolf mentioned. Like there's a lot of like for a long time, the central government has been pushing Hindi as this national language, as this idea of a national language when it's not really. And it's basically to sort of ethnically unify all of India into one thing. There's so much more to the dynamics that needs to be elaborated upon. And and hopefully my goal in the interim is basically elucidate some of that and basically uh provide and basically bring some light to stuff that you may not have heard about.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I like that. So I am an absolute himbo when it comes to anything outside of America and like a little bit of the UK, but that's just because like I'm not good at holding all those facts in my head. As
Hey,
I've
himbo
started
solidarity.
But as I'm starting to remember from my days of school, I actually am good at that. I just need to take notes. So I before I ask my question, I also want to let you know that if you see me like down here, that's me typing on my phone some notes. So that way I can actually take what you say, do some more research on it, and if the situation and topic ever comes up again, I can always be like, hey, this person pointed me to a situation that might counter something that I might have just agreed with. I'm always learning, in other words. I'm not one of you're not in a room with somebody who's like one of those like, oh, so you talk about politics? Like, so what's your dating situation like? What do you think about worms? Like, nah, I'm yo, you know what I'm talking about too. And it's like it's just for me, before I even get into the question, it's just like if I have a chance to learn from somebody, why would I try to like dominate the conversation with my own like everybody's heard me talk all day on stream. Like it's important to when you give people a platform to give them the platform. Don't just you're on my show and then it's like 6 other people and it's like I barely got to talk about what mattered and you guys rambled on about would you turn gay for $100,000? Like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on these fucking platforms, bro. I can't believe. Anyway, Paradigm Path, welcome to it. I've been recording you this entire time. We're putting you on the YouTube. It's happening, it's happening. Told you, when I get up, no matter what, if I'm up, we all up. I'm getting everybody out there. 2022 class. Anyway, my question.
Listen, I hope to earn this platform, right? I wanna do right by you and I wanna make sure I earn this platform by providing like decent information, right? And that's the way I always conduct myself, right? I said this to Gremlo when I came on his like show to talk about Sri Lanka. I was like, listen, I want to earn this, right? I don't want you to just have me on to like because the thing is I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm doing right by providing as fair information as possible, right? So that's the thing. I don't want people to just have me on to just like because like the thing is I want like because I like here's the thing, right? I've been following this stuff for like about 2 years now, right? And it's like taken me a lot of reading. I've basically read a lot of news articles. I've read a lot of like historical articles. I've read a lot of I've read some books here and there just to get a deeper understanding of like what's been going on in this region for a very long time. And I'm always learning, right? It's never like I don't want you to look at me as like the expert. I'm just a dumbass himbo Twitch streamer that talks about this stuff, right?
Here's the thing. My thing is not about having people who are experts in their knowledge because like if I really, really wanted to, and I've been doing this for a while now, I got to stop doing it because people are going to think my ego out of control. But like, I'm good at the debate thing. I'm good at pulling information. Like I know a lot and I shouldn't know as much as I do. I just study and retain it. But like, I want people who, and that's why I even said this to you. I want to associate myself now with people who kind of are self-aware. Like a lot of the streamers that I talk to, they're willing to take a day off and tell their audience they're depressed. Like I need to be around those people, like people who are actually still people at the end of the day, you know? So you can make the mistakes, but I feel like if you made a mistake on anything, you would be the first person to be like, hey, I said this during a stream and I ended up looking it up and I was actually wrong about the name, place, time, date, issue. Here's the correction.
I do it while I'm covering the
exactly.
Stuff.
You do it while you're covering.
While I'm covering it, right? If I mess something up, then I'll correct myself.
You'd be surprised how many people like double down. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised. You know who the peoples are.
Yeah.
You know who the peoples are. So I want to ask you: do you see any You mentioned earlier that there were parallels between some of the things that are happening in India and some of the things that are happening in America. Can you expand upon just one specific thing on that? And that is, do you notice do you notice a susceptibility of the public to misinformation in the same way in both places? And can you expand upon maybe why that is? Because for me, I feel like when you have two very distinct cultures, raised upon massively different traditions, you wouldn't expect the same agitation to be able to affect both people equally. But as I'm hearing, or as I'm starting to notice, it is kind of happening even worldwide, we could say, at the same rate. So you're foremost known as with that, and I'm foremost known with America. What are the parallels that you are starting to notice?
So I mean, the to answer your question, I would say yeah, there's definitely parallels that you could draw between what's going on in India, what's been going on in India for a very long time with the U.S. And I would say I wouldn't even say like the thing is like the thing is like I mean, aside from like what Nightwolf is saying, where there's a corporate media base in India, just like there is in the United States. There's a huge amount of oligarchy and capitalism. Like India is basically a very neoliberal capitalist state, just like the United States is. I mean, we can obviously draw those comparisons as well, but I want to start with like a fundamental like truth, right? In Indians, the people that live in India and the people that live in the United States are fundamentally people at the end of the day,
Right.
and we're all susceptible to misinformation. Doesn't matter who you are, right? And so I wouldn't even necessarily say like I like there's a lot of like I feel like there's a this sort of Indian politics to a certain extent is kind of like gate kept, especially towards like NRIs like myself, right? By people from India. And it's um like you couldn't possibly understand the nuances and the intricacies of Indian politics because you're just an American, you're just a dumb American or whatever, right? I don't buy that for a second, right? Because I mean, Indians are fundamentally human at the end of the day. Everyone is fundamentally human at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. Like you take India, you take you take, Pakistan, you take China, you take Rwanda, you take Somalia, you take Kazakhstan, you take any country, Lebanon, like I'm just picking countries out of a hat, right? It doesn't matter, like Bolivia, right? People are humans at the end of the day, right? And everyone's susceptible to misinformation. But to dig deeper into the sort of polarization towards the right in India, you see a lot of similarities, especially because um, you see a lot of people that um, you see a lot of people that uh, you see there's a lot of talking points, especially these days, that have basically been lifted from the United States. So let's start carving out the similarities a little bit, right?
Mhm.
So one thing is, just like Nightwolf said, a lot of Indian news outlets are basically corporate owned, right? Very similar to the United States, right? So especially the big ones like India Today, Times Now, Republic TV, they're all corporations, and they're obviously going to support whatever supports their bottom line. Now, it depends largely. I mean, they're like if you take Republic World for example, they're basically the Indian equivalent of Newsmax, right? Or they're the equivalent of like OAN.
Okay.
Um, and you do have like so like if we go into the talking points, for example, right? Uh, Post 9/11, you heard this talking point of like Muslims in America trying to basically do like this long form of jihad, right? Which is where like they basically try and take control of the United States, right? Well, India's been doing that same talking point for a long time as well. And they actually took that specific jihad thing and they ran with it for a long time. And it's culminated in this conspiracy theory called love jihad, which is it comes from a couple of cases that are real to a certain extent, right? So the conspiracy theory of love jihad is this idea where Muslim men are trying to basically coerce, like they're trying to groom Hindu women so that they can marry them and then basically outpopulate the Hindus in India.
Huh.
It's basically Hindu replacement theory, right? It's like it's Aryan Hindu replacement theory, but in India, basically, right? So and you and a lot of the talking points that you see towards some of the talking points that you see here in the United States that are like blatantly very Islamophobic, that are like, well, Islam is like, like a very uh like it's an inherently violent religion, that those sorts of talking points, those are all present in India as well. And it's because, again, Muslims are also a minority in India, not to the same, I mean, they're Muslims are the largest religious minority in India. There are as many Muslims in India as the entire country of Pakistan, right? Just to
Mhm.
give you an idea of the sheer number of Muslims in India, right? But you see similar bigoted talking points in India towards religious minorities as well, right? And there's and if I were to summarize all this, right? Um, essentially another so you have basically burgeoning you have neoliberalism in India,
Mhm.
which basically where you have basically oligarchs that run the country. So an example is the Ambani family, and they basically run a large conglomerate that is basically Verizon plus Walmart, you can kind of say. So they run pharmacies, they run and CVS as well. They run pharmacies, they run grocery stores, they have this thing called Geo, which is like a basically their version of Verizon. It's like a mobile carrier network and internet service provider. You have the Adanis, which are a company that basically run entire electrical grids in states, that run gas grids in states,
Mhm.
right? Um, you have the Tata Group, which are basically India's like, uh, inherent like their form of automobile industry. Like you have massive like business titans in India that basically control the economy. That basically that do deals with the government. That do deals with that make deals that effectively benefit them. And Modi is because Modi is obviously a massive conservative, if not a fascist, right? I mean, I would say he's a fascist, but if you don't want to grant him that, he's at least very conservative.
Mhm.
He also is a pro business leader, and he gives massive tax cuts to those companies as well, just like our Republicans do here, right?
Mhm.
So you see a you can draw a lot of parallels, and I'm just illustrating a little bit of like what kind of parallels you can draw between the United States and India. There's obviously going to be cultural differences because there's stuff that isn't really elaborated on, such as the caste system. The caste system is an institution that really doesn't have any parallel in the United States. I would say it's very hard to draw a parallel with the caste system in India,
Okay.
because it's been there for thousands of years, right? Um, and yeah, I could like go on. I could go on and like,
Right.
do you
No.
have any more questions?
No. I have tons of. I mean, not tons of questions. I don't want to hold you here forever, but at the same time, nah. We good. You're good. You're doing great. You're doing great. As if you're. There's a bar or metric I'm holding you to for being on the show. No. No. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. I literally just love listening and learning. I like my ADHD acts up so much I can't sit and watch a video. So that's why I like to have these chats live and in person, because it really tells me like, yo, is this something you're actually interested in like absorbing as information you'd like to learn? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I just get into it. Like I've received and heard everything. You're doing great. Anyway, so what I'm confused about, or what bothers me, I should say, because I'm never confused. I'm just bothered. Um, these parallels that you drew between state media has been a constant conversation in American politics for a long time. Is there, or have you noticed any way to effectively destabilize the state media? Because I know America has a little bit, like, I guess a different, again, I don't know, so let me not even make the assumption. But as far as America is concerned, we have the system of social media and, like, I guess sort of free speech. Like, we can cancel Fox in our house. Can you like do that in India? Can you cancel networks? Can you have an outspoken like? Do you have independent broadcasting? I don't know why I keep saying you as if you're not like a couple like blocks away from me. Not you're not literally, but like you know what I mean. Um, but like, is there like a way? Is there a systemic way to silence the noise?
So this is where kind of the thing. This is kind of where things start to diverge a little bit.
Which we like.
So this is where things start to diverge a little bit. In certain regions of India, namely places like Uttar Pradesh, states like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, the Delhi region, right? And I've talked to several people from these states already, right? Like, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's genuinely a systemic propaganda machine by the BJP, by the current ruling party in India, and it's called the IT cell.
Okay.
Right. Now, basically, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know too much enough about this to elaborate. So I'm basically speaking on what I know.
Okay.
But basically, this is so the thing with India is there are two main sources where people get their news, right? So one is cable TV, and the thing is with cable TV, their one of their default channels is like Republic TV, which is a very far right like news television show. So it's like if Newsmax was like the default like news channel that came with Comcast or Verizon. That's the sort of like in a lot of in some states it's like that basically.
Okay.
So it's very easy. It like the BJP is basically making all this far right propaganda very accessible to people, right? And a lot of it is broadcast in Hindi as well, the Hindi language, right? And there's also something to be said about that because in Hindi dominated states or states where Hindi is the official language, you tend to see a lot more far right leaning views.
Okay.
Because the stuff that is said in those Hindi language broadcasts is usually far more right wing than the stuff that's said. I mean, it's not to say that Republic English isn't far right. It is. But because people don't really speak Hindi outside of India, they're able to get away with saying a lot more, right, in Hindi. So there's a lot more bigoted stuff that is openly said in Hindi, right? In these broadcasts, in these news broadcasts. So one mechanism of propaganda is through cable TV, right? Like programs like Aaj Tak, Republic TV. Those are basically like what they'll often do is they'll bring on like Muslims, right? And what they'll do is they'll basically agitate against Muslims on television. So they'll yell at the Muslims, and the Muslims will be forced to yell back, and then it'll be like, oh, look at these aggressive Muslims. They're trying to take over India, right? That's generally the dynamic on a lot of these shows. It's usually meant to be super aggressive. One, because aggressiveness gets ratings, right? Because earlier, before this, like Indian TV was never like this aggressive. Like I can give you a link if you want to see, right? Just to give you an idea of how insane, like how obscene, like how, like in any other context, like this would be very unprofessional, right? Like they like a lot of these Indian news channels get their inspiration from like Fox, like Bill O'Reilly yelling at people, basically.
Oh man.
Yeah, they literally, yeah. Like, give me a second. Arnab Goswami. This is a classic yelling. This is a fantastic clip to look at. I'm gonna link it in chat. You can pull it up. That'd be great. So the context behind this clip.
I'll pause it.
I said I'll send it. Too late.
Let me pull it up in here.
I'm already quick. I'm too quick on the draw. Because like I love introducing people to this sort of thing. If you're not used to it, I love introducing people to this. It's great.
Okay, I just gotta click it. Yeah, then it goes infinite. Blah blah blah. All right, everybody can see it. Everybody see it on my stream. Oh no, it says it's still running. It's one of those things. Okay, I got this. I believe in myself. I just
Unfair. You have a good PC. I have a potato laptop. Yeah. Oops.
okay.
Still
Let's
being.
yeah, it's being weird.
Um.
Here, yes sir. Now I should be able to click it. Oh, why is it like this? Why are you doing me like this? Okay, okay. I'm freaking out. Freaking out. Okay, right there.
There we go. Yep.
Everybody can see it.
Yeah. Let me play this for a second. Or actually, I don't. Can I play this?
Try window capture. I mean, I was gonna, but I suck. Yo, I use Video Ninja for everything. Like I custom make every layout I've ever had. So it's like when I gotta just click something, it never works. We have a window capture also set. I'm gonna make us disappear for a quick second while we watch this.
No, it's cool. Why are you embarrassing me in front of people?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, this is okay. So before you play that,
yeah,
before you play that for a second, so the context is basically they just they passed a law saying that you have, so in movie theaters you have to stand up for the national anthem basically. So the debate that is going around here is basically about should you have to stand up for the national anthem or not? That's basically the debate here.
Oh my god. Oh, this is gonna get so beautiful. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just add another capture here.
The context is that those idiots want us to stand for the national anthem even if we have a broken bone in the leg. Yeah.
Be right back. Don't play yet. Oh, come on.
No, Nightwolf. You've watched this like Nightwolf, you watched this like 9 times, dude. What are you talking about?
I'll get a food.
I'll get a food. Come on. Come on.
No way. Please back, please.
Please, you've already enjoyed this like 8,000 times. All right, get your food and come back.
Better hurry up. Yeah, we got you.
Hurry up, Nightwolf.
So, one of the things that gets me about American media, and it's the destabilization of people's thinking points. Like,
speaking of destabilization, I want to answer that question first, right? So because I wasn't actually finished with the. So that was actually one half of the. So that's one way that people get their news. It's through outlets like Republic TV, which we're about to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other method that people get their news, that they get their information from, is through YouTube and WhatsApp forwards. WhatsApp is not really that huge here in the United States for fairly obvious reasons,
right?
But WhatsApp is massive in India, right? And so they get a lot of their news informations from WhatsApp forwards. It's gotten so bad that people meme on it and they say, WhatsApp University. Where'd you get that information? WhatsApp University?
But facts though.
Yeah, it's like it's okay, he's back. Now we can watch it. The prince has arrived, so
holding up a whole stream for a chatter. I love it here.
Why can't you stand up for Janaganamana? Why can't you stand up for Janaganamana? Why does it stand? Why do you want to stand? Why don't you stand up for Janaganamana? What's your problem with it? Why can't you stand up for 52 seconds? Why can't you? Why? See, the entire Rotary Club was.
By the way,
why can't you stand up for 52 seconds? Why can't you stand up for 52?
That's the moderator? Oh man. It's Dylan Burns all over again.
Why can't
Oh man, this is a live broadcast. 3 million views.
Today, because
this guy gets paid handsomely.
You hear me? Then I'll tell you why.
I mean, to be fair, so this dude is the host of the show, and he's the moderator, and he owns the company that's doing all this.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah. This guy is a very well-known Indian anchor by the name of Arnab Goswami. And he's to all the non-Sangis in India, he's not a lib. He's a meme, excuse me. he's a meme.
Oh my lord, what the hell?
Today, because I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why. You hear me, then I'll tell you why. Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why? Then you stop, I'll tell you why. I can't shout over you. I'll tell you why.
This is normal for Republic TV and
Tell you why. I'll tell you why, Mr.
like this is
Pradhan.
in
Don't
English.
be an
By the way.
anti-national.
Hindi news outlets are far worse.
Oh
Don't
my.
be an anti-national.
They're way
Don't
worse
be an
than this.
anti-national.
Can you call me anti-national?
Can I say something?
I am more nationalist than
Then
you.
I'll tell you
In
why.
15 August, you
I'll
don't
tell
do
you why.
so many
Today
places
the
in
argument
Ohio
is
and play
today the
referendum.
argument is
Yeah.
that don't force us to stand up for 52 seconds. Listen to me.
Yeah, this is
Second
also. I mean, you
question
can
is
probably assume this is prime time. Like,
Oh my lord, what? Yo, it's wait.
Listen
Question
to
is of force. Second.
Oh, I thought he's-
Question is of imposing.
Listen to
Question
me.
is of forcing.
I love-
which is undemocratic.
Oh, he is saying that he's a pussy. Okay, I was catching that.
Listen to
Question
me.
is of forcing, which is undemocratic.
When you say patriotism is
country.
you say patriotism is in your heart, then why are you being forced?
Why are you forcing us?
Where's the question of forcing you? If
BJP
patriotism
government
is in your
is
heart,
forcing us.
where?
If you don't stand for
Why
it.
should the president of India listen to me? Waris, listen to me.
They are forcing-
Waris,
that if
listen.
I don't
Waris,
stand for the theater, I
Waris,
become anti-national.
Waris,
What is this?
Waris,
We are living in a democratic
Waris.
country.
Today,
Why do you today treat us as a secondary citizen?
Waris, don't stretch the argument, Waris.
I'm not
Don't
stretching.
stretch the argument.
This whole thing, yo, I want to chop this up into new alerts so bad.
I want the
Don't
point.
stretch the
So
argument.
bad.
Take it too far.
Oh, this-
Waris,
yeah.
listen to me.
This is like- oh,
Today,
this
no,
is
one second.
normal.
Waris,
This
listen to
is
me.
very
One
normal,
second,
especially in
Ratan
Republic
Chada.
TV.
1 second. Tomorrow
is
you
very
will say
normal for him
the
to lose
president
shit
does
like
not need
this.
to stand up and
But
salute
he's
the
done this
forces
for
of
like
Republic Day
multiple
parade.
things.
Where
This
does
is
it end?
like he's done this with.
What's wrong with
He's done this with.
Schools are a place for education.
Like he,
So, what does national anthem got to do with education?
there's
as
a
per your
whole
logic?
music
As
video
per your
called,
warp logic. Rotary
where
clubs,
he's like.
Rotary clubs across
That's a whole nother context that I like. It's basically
the national anthem is
basically the song is it's total meme fuel. No, this dude is a living meme in India,
why
like
should I
Arnab
take
Goswami.
somebody and say we go
There's
to
a whole
social
like
service
meme
and
song
what is it?
Nah,
in
you got-
Hindi where
You got to show us that. I need that.
it's called Mujhe drugs though, which means give me drugs.
Ooh, that might be here.
Yeah,
Oh,
honestly.
oh, we're here.
So-
We're here. It's happened. Can I get a mute on too, please? Thank you. Okay.
Oh God.
Yo, while these people are just sitting there trying to talk to him, he's just sitting there in the middle of eight panelists just screaming at him.
Oh yeah, no, this is normal. I can't stress to you how banal this is.
There's
Like
a whole
how, like-
FL Studio meme of this. Oh my god.
Yeah, like I said, like this is partially why I cover Indian politics, because like this is like insane. Like this makes me forget how bad our politics is here for a second. Because like Indian politics is, oh god. Average panel in Indian news channels is like 20 people. Yeah. Like I know you have like a lot of people have problems with like Discord panels and stuff, like, but from what I've seen of like Discord panels, that pales in comparison to this shit. I'm sorry. Like this is like the thing with Discord panels is like they barely get paid on those panels, right? These guys get paid lakhs in court. These guys get paid millions of dollars to do this. Like that's like, this is irresponsible.
And the black man can't get a nickel. Yo, I keep telling y'all, I gotta change the game, yo. Come on. I can't. Not with it. Like, so what's getting me is, because you were about to mention destabilization. What's getting to me is this, like, I guess that's what people think discourse is. Like, I'm so scared that, like, people really don't think for themselves. Like, it's getting to a point where I'm wondering, like, what are we gonna do when it's time for, like, the big shit to happen? Like, if climate change gets really bad, like, are we gonna have humanitarian? Are we gonna be able to survive on this planet? Is a question. No, can't ask that question because that's part of another show. That's part of another show, and I gotta save that question. Don't answer it. Don't even think about it. I threw it in the ether. Answer it on your own time. But that's something.
I probably will answer it on my own time. But
I'll bring you
because,
back.
like that's
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll
But
bring you
like
back on the show. I have a special 1 hour thing. It's called "Do You Even Exist?" where I ask like one existential question and we go all the way down to see how far if we can answer it. But like that's not now. That's not now.
oh, true, fair, fair, fair. But yeah, so that's the other thing that like that's kind of hard because like a lot of people do get like the thing is like the reason that a lot of people that is a good question, like Nightwolf said. That's a phenomenal question. Like those are like questions that I ask myself like on a daily basis. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't know. I'll throw this out there,
Go
right?
ahead.
Just I'll throw like my sort of quick answer out in the ether, just on a gut instinct, right? Uh, I don't think you really can plan for that sort of thing, and I think the best thing you can do is just do your best to fight it, and then see what happens as a result of it. I like because the thing is like these sorts of things require mass appeal, and there's only so much that one of us can do, and so you can try and like the whole point is you just got to try and win hearts and minds one day at a time, and that's sort of my gut instinct. That's sort of my gut take on this.
I like that.
Like it's easier to like not think about these existential questions because it like if the more you dwell on this, the more you get scared and the less you fight. You know what I mean?
It's so funny Nightwolf said that we don't exist. We're pawns of God and God is guiding us in the right way. International chut. It's so crazy because Jordan Peterson almost like quoted, he basically said that word for word. Like he quoted somebody who was talking about like population and we did like a 5 second research look into who wrote the book. The Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints. It's all an interconnection and I hate it. I hate it so much. The last question that I have for you is with your knowledge thus far, do you why do you think, and this is a big question,
Shoot, see if I
why
can answer it.
why do you think what factors do you believe are leading to, and yes, you can name the obvious ones if you'd like to, there's no specific answer I'm looking for. What external factors or what factors do you think are leading people to accept like this alt-right propaganda as just a way of life? Like I really feel like it's fair to say in 1953 it was absurd to ever think that there would be a self-driving car in 2022. We all saw it in the future, but like it was like, that'll never happen. You know, we didn't think about the internet. You know, that we're not gonna have we don't have. I can play any game with millions of people on a device, no wires. We weren't thinking about that 70 years ago, 80 years ago. With the advancements in all the technology we've had, the medical field, science, so society itself, why are people still finding comfort from what you know in alt-right media or an alt-right agitprop? Now you can speak about this from the American perspective, speak about it from any other country's perspective. I just want to know your thought on this because I got plenty of thoughts and I'm tired of saying them.
Jeez. Okay, I don't think it's yeah, I don't think you can boil it down to just one thing.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't think you can boil it down to one thing. I think so from an Indian perspective, there are there's a job crisis in India. There's a lot of young people that are not able to get jobs in India, and they're because so the sort of economic situation isn't necessarily all that settled. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that is one potential radicalizing factor, I would say, but I wouldn't say that's the only one, right? Um, because a lot of people that are being radicalized to these points of view, they come from very privileged backgrounds as well, right? And I think it's a mixture of economic benefits that are provided. So, like one example is that the BJP provides a lot of like connections. They provide a lot of whether it be job connections, they provide a lot of like help, personal, like familial help. That's what a lot of political parties do. They like in India, they provide monetary help for a lot of people. And so if you're going to support the people that monetarily help you in some way or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the BJP does do that, right? Every now and then. And there are connections that like especially in places like Delhi and whatnot, right? There are Uh, and this is all from this is all from like a series of conversations I've had with like people in India, right? So people who used to be BJP supporters that have left, right? That have basically like no longer support the BJP, right?
Okay.
Um, these it's a mixture of there's economic benefits given to you, immediate economic benefits that can be given to you, but on top of that there's a sort of longing for, especially in places like Delhi and Uttar Pradesh, where a lot of the a lot of cultures have been marginalized. Like for example, in Uttar Pradesh you see this sort of polarization of Hindus versus Muslims, but there's actually way more to the story of Uttar Pradesh as a whole, right? Like you wouldn't know this if I didn't tell you this, but there are like at least 7 languages spoken in Uttar Pradesh. But
Okay.
because Hindi's like been imposed there for a long time, like in Hindi and Urdu are basically the division between the two languages is largely political and religious, right? Or political for the most part. It helps draw this line between Hindus and Muslims even further, and allows people to easily pick a side. And it's a mix of wanting an identity. Two, it's a mix of fear. It's a mix of economic benefits that are given to them, that are promised to them. Four, it's a promise of something better that another thing is like a lot of these people want to maintain their privilege. And I think that's what conservatism also boils down to. A lot of people have privilege. They want to maintain it, and they want to not only maintain the status quo, but they want to return to a time where they monopolized power, right? Or they want to, maybe not even a time when they monopolized power, but like they want to bring about a time when they monopolized power, right? Even if that time, I mean, in the case of America, yes, like British white people, English white people have monopolized power. Landowning English white people have monopolized power in America for a long time, and a lot of people and a lot of alt-writers in America want to bring back those times. And I think a lot of the stuff that I said about India kind of applies to the United States. It's not the infrastructure of the alt-right isn't as well fleshed out as it is in India. Like it's not as fleshed out in America as it is in India, because the alt-righters don't necessarily control the government, but and they haven't really controlled the government for a little bit now. But I would say like it's a multifaceted thing. It's the promise of better economic benefits. It's the promise of this sort of identity to ease some sort of suffering because like India is ranked one of the least happy countries on the planet. Just so you know, it's not that happy a country. The BJP's in power. The BJP's in power. They've been in power since 2014. They've been in power for 8 years. And you would like, based on the propaganda that the BJP's put out, you would think that things are being solved, but they're not. It's things are getting worse in India by the day, right? Like that, based on the propaganda. And if you believe the BJP propaganda, you would be like, well, they're in power. Why aren't our problems solved? But obviously the BJP is not there to solve the problems of the average working class person. They never were. They were there to solve the problems, or they were there to benefit the rich. They were there to benefit the privileged, the elite in India, right? That's what they're there for. That's what the whole Hindutva ideology is. There's a reason that a lot of Hindutvadis openly advocate for capitalism. It's because capitalism advocates something not too dissimilar to what exists in the caste system, right? There's a lot of parallels that exist between the caste system and capitalism, right? There are different classes that are brought about because of capitalism, and I don't have to explain what that is to you, because you obviously are the kind of person that is an anti-capitalist like myself. Yeah, it's a multifaceted thing, I would say. I don't think it's one thing that you can necessarily pinpoint to that causes sort of radicalization into far-right movements or far-right ideologies. I think it's I think it's a mix of. I think radicalization into far right ideologies is just a perfect storm of multiple things going wrong.
And one day I will gladly have you on one of my very first debate panels for you to actually explain what many of those we'll start debating what are those factors that lead into far right radicalization, because if we're going to do this right, we're going to do this in the exact way it needs to be done. And the way that we have to do that is by subscribing. First of all, do me a favor, introduce yourself and your channel, please. My guest of tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you having me on. My name is ArunAnnow. It's ArunAnnow. Like I mentioned earlier, Eras, if you've been paying attention to what I've been talking about for like the past like however long I've been on for a little bit, I talk about South Asian politics. I talk about Indian politics. I'll be going live tonight at 10:30 to talk about that stuff. 10:30 Eastern. That would be 8 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Oh shit, you made me big screen. Okay, I see you. Thank you. But yes, my name is Arun. I cover South Asian politics. I've also wanted to talk about what's been going on in Sri Lanka with you for some time, because I've also wanted to raise a little bit of awareness about what really is, because I mean, I've been going around, talking to other streamers. Endless has had me on to talk about this. Taylor at Tylerx has had me on to have talk about this. Lots of other streamers, Beer Bash, like a lot of people have had me on to talk about this. Gremlo, and I'm, I'm eternally grateful for them having me on to talk about that sort of thing, because these are things that are not really talked about, especially on Twitch, on Twitch, I think. And I think there needs to, I definitely think these sorts of stories need to, be talked about a lot more. And I think there needs to be a lot more discussion around this stuff. But I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, and we're definitely gonna do this again. Don't think I'm not one of those. I'm gonna hit it once and quit. I'm not one of those. Trust me, the energy always here. Thank you for coming on. Y'all do me a favor, show some love to the boy over here. He will be going live. Let's see if I can stay up long enough to either raid him, or we'll see if we can get a channel raid going through so you have a nice audience to start your day with. But I'd like to thank you for being here. And if I think I might be on tomorrow. If you want to do a 1 hour on the Sri Lanka thing, I don't mind having back to back. I do that every time.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with whatever you're good with. Right?
Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. But thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You got it. I hope you have a good night, and I will hopefully just see you in the future. We're already considering you for a couple positions for our first iterations of some of these shows, because we like your voice, we like your presentation style, and we think that you're not a numbskull who has nothing to offer. I feel like you could keep the energy going, and we need people to keep the energy going.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully I earned it. Hopefully I earned the platform.
That's what and yeah, that's what I tell people all the time. Like, I'm not one of those, like, I'm gonna invite somebody over to the stream, you really gotta impress me. I'm not saying this was like a trial run for you, but like, if it was, you can make the cut. I would give you the if I'm getting a spot at TwitchCon, I'd be like, this channel. I would do that for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. Have a good night, brother.
Too kind. All right. See you guys.
Fucked up the outro. Oh well. I can't even see the window anymore. I fucked up the outro. It's okay. Anyway, YouTube, thank you for listening. I hope to see you soon, and I will catch you in the next one.